The afternoon sun filtered through the canopy, casting a dazzling glare on the glass facade of the finance tower in central Brussels. Gabriel St. Clair, the undisputed sovereign of Europe's real estate world, strode with measured steps, his gaze as cold as steel as he scrolled through endless figures on his mobile. The only thing that ever coaxed a faint smile from him was an unexpected responsibility laid at his feet. At that same moment, Clara Duval, a gifted actress and Gabriel's personal assistant, hurried down the hallway. Her features remained sharply defined despite her light makeup, typically reserved for auditions rather than boardrooms. Suddenly her phone rang. "Miss Duval, Lord Pascal has been in an accident in Congo and must be airlifted immediately." The trembling voice of the secretary made Clara's heart pound like a drum. Her father, on long-term assignment in Africa, was elderly and frail. Now he'd slipped, broken his leg, and suffered serious trauma. Unable to charter a flight at once, Clara's eyes brimmed with tears as she pressed on. "Please, Mr. St. Clair, you must help my father." Her voice cracked. Gabriel halted, folding his arms, and for the first time shed some of his usual reserve. "Send me the medical file. I'll handle it." On the emergency flight, Clara watched her father being wheeled into surgery. She bowed her head, overcome with anguish. Suddenly a tall figure approached the operating room, handed the nurse a bag of medicine and the file, and murmured, "I will cover all expenses. Please focus on your family." That brief, genuine smile at the corner of his lips moved Clara to tears. Deep down she realized, alongside power lay compassion and duty. The next day, when the limousine pulled up to Kinshasa International Hospital, Gabriel not only signed the upfront fees but also made a surprising offer. "Miss Duval, since your father's recovery will be lengthy, I'd like to employ you as both assistant and health supervisor for Lord Pascal's daughter. Only you can do this justice." Clara was stunned. Caring for the child of a wealthy foreign tycoon was not part of her plan, but the chance to be near Gabriel St. Clair for the first time was an opportunity she could not refuse. Thus, amid the vast expanse of Africa, a curious bond began to blossom. After nearly 2 tense weeks in Kinshasa, with Clara's father stable enough for repatriation to Belgium for rehabilitation, Gabriel St. Clair stood at the hospital entrance to see her off to the airport. The morning sun illuminated her sun-kissed skin after days of African toil, mingling fatigue with a radiant glow in the dark tailored suit Gabriel had provided to maintain her professional bearing. "You will return to Brussels to supervise progress there and assume your duties as assistant and health supervisor for Lord Pascal's daughter," Gabriel stated flatly, still icy but with gentler eyes than before. "Martin has the paperwork. Just pack your bags." Clara nodded, voice soft, "Yes, Mr. Gabriel." She boarded the corporation's private jet, leaving behind the gurneys, ventilators, and the grateful gaze of young Pascal, her first patient in this dual role of daughter ward and medical aid. 3 days later, Clara arrived at St. Clair Holdings headquarters in the Louise district of Brussels. The soaring glass tower, framed by towering plane trees, housed minimalistic yet luxurious interiors. Stepping into the 9-story elevator for the first time, her heart fluttered with equal parts excitement and dread. This was more than her workplace, it would become her second home and the stage for her closest encounters with Belgium's coolest CEO. Her first day began at 8:30 a.m. with a marketing meeting. Around a long table strewn with expansion proposals for the Asian market, Gabriel sat at the head, pen in hand. As Clara entered, no one spoke. Gabriel merely signaled Martin beside him, "Proceed." Swiftly, she interpreted reports, advanced slides, and jotted notes. Her warm yet authoritative tone silenced every side conversation. When Gabriel inquired, "How is Pascal's daughter faring?" Clara succinctly summarized her care regimen and suggested nutritional improvements for the child. Their exchange was brisk, the task accomplished. At lunch, Clara usually grabbed a quick bite in the cozy pantry, Belgian salad and a baguette. Gabriel rarely appeared, except once to place a chef-prepared box at her desk. "Eat. You've been working hard." She looked up at him, surprised and grateful. His eyes were still reserved, but no longer unreachable. She offered a quiet thanks and ate in silence. That afternoon, laptop bag slung over her shoulder, she sat by the window watching Brussels cyclists and pedestrians. She found herself both missing Kinshasa, where she'd worried for her father, and recognizing the hidden warmth behind Gabriel's icy exterior. Clara dared not broach his private life. She knew Gabriel maintained an invisible wall between himself and his staff. More than once, she caught sight of a small frame on his desk, an Asian woman smiling amid lavender fields. Was she an ex-wife? A lost love? She wondered. Day by day, Gabriel entrusted her with more tasks, overseeing a new office tower in Antwerp, approving a sponsorship deal for Emma Lemaire's film, Clara's close friend. They volleyed emails and short meetings until 8 at night. Clara grew accustomed to the click-clack of keyboards and neon office lights. One Friday afternoon, the company held a tea party to mark the week's end. Clara planned to slip out quietly, but Gabriel appeared at the elevator and offered his hand. "You've worked all week. Stay 8 minutes." Startled, she followed him into the lounge, where they shared tea and biscuits in comfortable silence, the first time she felt truly close to Gabriel beyond work. Back in her Brussels studio that night, Clara gazed from her balcony at the canal lights. She wondered, could her burgeoning feelings survive the gulf of status, his mysterious past, and his frosty demeanor? Meanwhile, Gabriel sat in his office, staring at the building across the street, the image of Clara at that meeting replaying in his mind. He didn't realize how much he now yearned for the ping of her online notification, nor that a heart once beating only for profits was beginning to falter. At dawn, while city lights still glowed, Clara awoke to Gabriel's message. "I've ordered your usual croissant and strong latte at the cafe on Boulevard. Don't worry about being late." Though terse, his words brimmed with concern. No one had ever cared so attentively. A warm croissant, a thick latte, no sugar. Smiling, she hurried out, savoring the gentle warmth spreading within her. That Monday meeting, Clara arrived exactly 3 minutes late. Her old excuse of traffic was obsolete. As she entered, Gabriel simply nodded. The steaming latte awaited her on the table. He raised a hand. "Take your time. I've told them to wait." No one else spoke, but in that moment she felt respected, an unfamiliar gift from a powerful CEO. At noon, a sudden downpour drenched the city. Clara dashed for the door under a small umbrella, but her suit soaked from waist down. Then the glass doors slid open and Gabriel stood there, umbrella large enough for both. "Get in. You'll catch a cold." In the back of his sedan, Clara watched raindrops race down the window. From the rearview mirror, he said, "Stay warm. I left fresh ginger tea inside." Never before had such simple gestures warmed her heart so profoundly. She murmured, "Thank you, Gabriel." Silence reigned save for rain's patter and the engine's hum. That afternoon, mid-climax of a new film project, Clara got urgent news. Her father wasn't yet approved for long-distance travel. Her heart sank. Gabriel quietly laid a hand on her shoulder. "Don't worry. I'll arrange for you to see him. We can postpone the Friday meeting." His warm, steady voice brought tears to her eyes. She realized that whereas before she'd seen him only as the boss, issuing orders, he had become her rock, her protector. That weekend, the company picnic at Laeken Park was meant for employees to unwind. Clara rarely attended, but Gabriel insisted. Under the ivy-clad walls, he placed smoked salmon sandwiches and apple juice in front of her. "Eat. You'll drive home." She glanced up. "Aren't you eating?" He shook his head. "I just want you well." Soft sunlight filtered through trees, a fragrant breeze carried the scent of blossoms. Clara ventured, "Do you care for me this much?" Gabriel's lips curved in a rare smile. "Only for you do I notice the smallest details." His words completed a puzzle in her mind. Every cup of coffee, every shared umbrella, every note of concern revealed the depths of his heart. She replied softly, "I cherish it all." That evening, as Clara rode the elevator home, she couldn't stop thinking of Gabriel's care, handing medicine to her father in Africa, ordering coffee in Brussels, offering ginger tea in the rain. Had her heart already decided? Unknown to her, Gabriel sat in his office gazing at her last text pop up. He, too, was waiting. A week after the picnic, Clara received a bolt from the blue. The film she was starring in lost its sponsor at 30% completion. The acclaimed detective novel adaptation faced a financial crisis, unshot scenes, a scattered crew, and Clara's career advancement in jeopardy. Alone in the dim makeup room, she trembled over the cancellation notice. "We regret that funding cannot continue. All further costs are the actor's responsibility." 3 months of devotion boiled down to a single sheet of paper. She wiped away tears, stifling her despair. Her acting career, already fragile amid endless industry gossip, now stood on even shakier ground. She feared directors' doubts and the damage to her reputation. Desolate, she felt utterly isolated. Just then her phone buzzed, Martin urging her to Gabriel's office at once. "Mr. St. Clair wants to see you now." Ignoring the drizzle, Clara grabbed her raincoat and bolted down to the parking garage. In Gabriel's penthouse office, bathed in warm light, he leaned against the balcony overlooking the city, clad in a charcoal suit. He turned as she entered, concern flickering in his sharp eyes. "I heard about the film. Are you all right?" She could barely speak. I don't know what to do. This was my biggest project, and I'm terrified." Gabriel smiled gently, placing a hand on her shoulder. "Setbacks happen in business. But we can fix this." He motioned Martin to open his laptop and dialed Aurora Productions' board. Within minutes, Gabriel pledged to cover the missing budget so the film could finish on schedule, on condition that Aurora drop all penalty clauses. On screen, astonished executives watched him assert, "St. Clair Holdings will co-produce, and I will take co-producer credit." Clara gripped his hand, tears of gratitude in her eyes. Less than an hour later the revised contract was signed. That night, Clara returned home buzzing. "You actually did it?" Gabriel packed away his files and replied softly, "You worked so hard, now it's my turn to support you. Don't let worry derail you." The sincerity in his gaze stirred her profoundly. For the first time, she saw that behind his cold exterior stood a man ready to wield his power and wealth for her sake. The next day, filming resumed at Laeken Castle. Energized, Clara threw herself into her role with fresh courage. Gabriel watched quietly via monitors, satisfied he'd lifted the burden off her shoulders. At the celebratory wrap dinner, red wine in crystal glasses sparkled in the candlelight. Clara had no idea that a single unguarded moment that night would forever alter their relationship. The post-crisis celebration took place in Laeken Castle's Grand Hall. Golden lights, white draped tables, crystal stemware filled with red wine. The director and crew applauded Clara, inviting her to a brief speech. She beamed, "Thank you, Gabriel, for saving our project. We won't let you down." Glasses clinked, congratulations echoed. Clara sat beside Gabriel, who sipped his wine slowly, maintaining a composed air. The vintage was exquisite by Brussels standards. Buoyed by the moment, she accepted a second glass. A jazz ensemble began to play. Martin leaned in, "Miss Duval, perhaps slow down." But Clara, intoxicated on wine and adrenaline, grasped Gabriel's shoulder. "Gabriel, let's toast." He lifted his glass gently. "Go easy." The second drink made her head swim. Laughing, she pulled him into the dimly lit courtyard wrapped in ivy. "You are the most wonderful man I've ever known." Gabriel regarded her solemnly, tenderness in his eyes. "Clara, don't say that. You know how much I care for you." Flushed and bold, she stammered, I just want to thank you." Then without warning, she pressed her lips to his. He hadn't expected it but responded with equal passion. In that fairy-tale garden, passion eclipsed propriety. Outside, Gabriel's black limousine glided to the gate. He placed a hand on her waist. "Let me drive you home." Clara nodded, leaning into him. In the backseat, their breaths mingled over the hum of the engine. At his penthouse, he guided her to the living room bathed in soft lamplight. Clara's wine-clouded eyes registered a sense of anticipation. He kissed her lightly and led her into the bedroom. Moonlight through the floor-to-ceiling windows illuminated her silky gown as he gently removed it, revealing her slender form. Clara trembled but smiled. "Gabriel." He replied with a tender kiss and guiding hands, exploring new realms together. That night, they transcended boss and assistant to become two kindred souls entwined. At dawn's first light filtering through the drapes, Clara woke to Gabriel's tousled gray shirt and disheveled hair. He met her gaze with pride and gentleness. "Good morning." She buried her face in the pillow, heart pounding. She knew by crossing that line their world would never be the same. What lay ahead? The next morning's sun cast faint bars of light across the white sheets. Gabriel awoke first, aware of Clara's warm hand still on his chest. Smiling, he brushed her hair back, savoring the intimate scene without waking her. Then he rose, prepared a strong espresso, and gazed out the towering windows over Brussels. His heart fluttered with an unfamiliar ache. The intoxication of last night came from wine, and from opening his heart. In the bedroom, Clara stirred, eyes blinking as she recalled the night's revelations. A soft smile curved her lips, her pulse raced. "What have I done?" she whispered, torn between regret and delight. She sensed in Gabriel's eyes a rare warmth meant only for her. She pulled the sheet up and allowed herself a moment to process the new reality. How could she, a simple assistant and actress, share a bed with the city's most powerful CEO? Her phone buzzed. Gabriel's text. 8 a.m. meeting. I've postponed the board session to the afternoon. Please prepare the project status slides. His formality stung. He was erasing last night as if it had never happened, fitting them back into the boss assistant mold. Clara exhaled deeply, caught between the sweetness of their night and the chill of business as usual. That day in the boardroom's harsh fluorescence, Clara entered with a forced smile and set up her laptop before Gabriel, stepping back by a respectful pace. Gabriel nodded and began the meeting. Numbers flashed on screen. Clara reported crisply. When she mentioned the film's supplemental expenses, she added, "Thanks to Mr. St. Clair's timely support, production is back on track." He offered a brief smile and moved on. No one else knew what had transpired between them. Clara scrutinized his every glance. Was there a flicker of lingering feeling? After the meeting, as everyone filtered out, Clara prepared to leave, but Gabriel called her back. "Stay to review the report before it goes to the board." In the quiet of the empty office, they hunched over spreadsheets. Clara fought the echo of her own hopes. Last night was a fleeting lapse, and she must not let her heart stray further. Suddenly Gabriel stood behind her, voice low. "Did you sleep enough? You look exhausted." Clara startled, cheeks flushing. I'm fine." He gently tucked hair behind her ear, concern plain. "If you need time off, let me know." His offer made her heart skip. In that moment, she realized she never wanted to be apart from him, not even for a day. That evening, at her apartment, she confided in Emma Lemaire, "I feel adrift." Emma, ever the pragmatist, reassured her, "You and Gabriel suit each other. Don't beat yourself up, it's life's surprises." Clara could only smile wanly. She resolved to maintain a safe distance until she could sort out her feelings, or until she finally allowed herself to admit what she truly wanted. Dawn's first light found Clara nauseous, clutching her abdomen. She blamed the earlier rain and meeting stress, but the sweaty undergarment and pounding head told a different story. In her bathroom, she found the single pregnancy test she bought just in case. Hands trembling, she followed the instructions. Seconds later, 2 red lines glowed unmistakably. I'm pregnant?" Clara gasped, staggering back against the wall. Images of the drunken night flooded her mind, the silk gown on the floor, their frantic kisses, the warmth of his embrace. Tears fell as joy and dread warred within her. A life was growing inside her, yet her career was resurging, and her relationship with Gabriel remained undefined. Could she risk it? She forced herself to call Emma, voice cracking. "Emma. Something big's happened." "What's wrong?" Emma's panic was audible. I'm pregnant." "What?" Emma shrieked. Clara immediately hung up, ashamed to let anyone else in. Alone in the silent penthouse, Clara ran her fingers through her tangled hair. She dared not face Gabriel. Instead, she scrolled flights, a one-way ticket to Lisbon in 2 days, where she once filmed a short and had friends. If she fled there, she could escape the boss-assistant entanglement and hide among kindred spirits. She drafted an email to the director and crew, "Apologies for my sudden absence, personal reasons require my indefinite leave." She scheduled it to send at 6 p.m., omitting any mention of pregnancy. All afternoon she packed, plain clothes, documents, a backup phone, cash. She stashed the test in her blouse's pocket as irrefutable proof. At midnight she kissed Gabriel's pillow, its scent still lingering, and slipped away with her suitcase. By 12:30 a.m., a taxi awaited outside. She texted Martin, "Mr. Martin, I'm ill and must take leave starting today. I will forward the project materials later." Phone stowed, Clara closed her eyes, steeling herself. The taxi sped toward Brussels airport. Check-in and security went smoothly. As she boarded, she gripped her ticket, Brussels to Lisbon, and whispered, "I will protect you, my child. Even if I must run, I cannot let you suffer. Wheels lifted off the runway. Below, St. Clair Tower faded into Brussels' nightscape, the place she once believed would be the start of her happiness. Clara's flight touched down in Lisbon just after 6 a.m. As she retrieved her suitcase, her heart raced at the distance she'd put between herself and Brussels. Each echoing step on the cold tile reinforced the chasm between her past power and wealth, and this uncertain refuge. She hailed a taxi, concealing her return ticket and the one-way Lisbon stub in her pocket. In transit, she texted Emma, "I'm in Lisbon. All is well, but no contact for 24 hours." That message severed her ties, leaving only the child within her as anchor. She gazed at Lisbon's red rooftops and the tranquil Tagus River, hoping for safety. She booked a small hotel in Alfama, Residencial Alfama, where a kindly Portuguese matron asked only her name and length of stay. Clara replied 1 week and retreated to a modest room with a double bed and courtyard view. She stashed Gabriel's scented silk dress under the bed. That first day she stayed indoors, using the hotel Wi-Fi to locate a prenatal clinic and contacting 2 Portuguese actress friends to help find temporary work or a rental if needed. Then Emma's frantic calls shattered her calm. Gabriel's in Lisbon. Emma had spotted him checking in at a Belém cafe, apparently tracing Clara's steps. Clara's blood ran cold. She found the cafe on GPS, only 2 kilometers away. Panic seized her. She tried calling a cab, but lacked funds. Dragging her suitcase, she dashed through narrow alleys toward a tram stop, hiding behind a tourist map when passers-by glanced her way. Before she could slip away, her phone pinged. "I know where you are. Meet me at the airport." Gee, that lone -G froze her. How had he uncovered her flight path in mere hours? She flagged down a taxi, her voice trembling, and rushed back to Humberto Delgado Airport. Inside the bustling terminal, she huddled by a pillar. Her suitcase remained unchecked. And then she saw him, the tall figure in a familiar gray suit, stepping from the VIP lounge with calm stride. Their eyes locked across the crowd. He approached, voice steady. "Clara." She spun around, tears and fury rising. "How did you find me?" He said nothing, simply closed the distance. "You disappeared last night without a trace." "I couldn't stay silent." She backed away, coat brushing her bag. "I don't want you to get into trouble for me." Gabriel stooped to retrieve her suitcase, eyes softening. "A child is not trouble." Time stalled amid the terminal's echoes. He added quietly, "Will you come back to Brussels with me?" Clara closed her eyes, tears spilling. "I'm scared." His hand found her shoulder, firm and reassuring. "I won't let you be afraid anymore." Under the airport's cool lights, the tumult of their flight and her flight collided, ushering in the true beginning of their shared journey. After their emotional reunion in Lisbon's VIP lounge, Gabriel and Clara moved to a plush sofa beneath warm lights. Clara's mind whirled. He had chased her, worried for her, never angry. Her heart stung again. "I'm scared," she whispered. Gabriel placed a comforting hand on her shoulder. "I know. I understand. Fear doesn't mean you have to run." Tears traced her cheeks as she wondered if she'd spent years fleeing her own feelings. He drew in a steady breath and spoke softly, "You are not alone." Then, reaching into his suit pocket, he produced a small black velvet box. Clara's eyes widened, her heart leapt as he knelt before her on the polished floor of the lounge. Staff and passers-by watched curiously, but she saw only him, this man she had tried to escape, now offering her the future. He opened the box to reveal a dazzling diamond ring, its facets flashing in the lamplight. Taking her hands, he vowed, "Clara Duval, will you marry me? I want you, our child, and to face the world together, so long as we're side by side." Silence fell. Clara, overcome, nodded through tears. "Yes. I will." Witnesses in the terminal smiled as Gabriel slipped the ring onto her finger and pulled her into a tender embrace. He immediately called Martin and his lawyer. Within 2 hours, a rapid marriage registry in Lisbon was arranged. Clara donned a simple white dress delivered by Gabriel's airline chef. He dressed in a sleek black suit. They signed before a joyous registrar. "Congratulations. You are now Mr. and Mrs. St. Clair." As Gabriel tilted her chin upward, he whispered, "Married first, love later. But I have loved you for a long time." She placed her hand over her heart. And I have loved you, too. Later, on the rooftop of Gabriel's new development, the Atlantic breeze mingled with Lisbon's sunset. He embraced her from behind, murmuring, "From now on, no matter the storms, you and our child come first." Clara leaned back against him, eyes closed. "I feel like I've found home." He kissed her forehead, then rested his hand on her belly, where their baby stirred. Over their heads, congratulatory messages from Emma and a video call with her father brought familiar warmth. Clara glowed with happiness, and Gabriel looked on with pride. In that moment, all her fears dissolved. She realized that following her heart, no matter how unexpected, had led her to the greatest love of her life. Returning to Brussels after their impromptu Lisbon wedding, Gabriel and Clara settled into married life in the Louise penthouse. That first morning, Clara awoke to find the diamond ring still on her finger. Gabriel, already up, prepared her a strong espresso, just as he had since they first met. Blushing, she accepted the cup. "Thank you, my love." He smiled and lifted her chin. "Good morning, my wife." Though simple, the words felt new to both of them, as they'd never spent 24 hours together as husband and wife. Every affectionate gesture quickened their pulses. Balancing her dual roles, assistant to the CEO and leading actress with prenatal appointments, proved challenging. Gabriel reorganized board meetings so she wasn't overburdened. At lunch, he messaged to ask if she'd eaten, then sent her a prepared meal via company catering. At home, Clara kept up her professional routine: early rise, tea, a quick email before wardrobe change. Gabriel became her attentive husband, hanging her coat, polishing her shoes, reminding her to buckle up. Each small kindness moved her deeply. One evening after a late casting, Clara returned to find the living room lit by candles and a bouquet of white roses. A wooden sign read, "Welcome home, my wife." Tears sprang to her eyes as Gabriel embraced her. "I know you've been tired. Rest now, leave everything to me." She nestled against him, grateful. "I'm so lucky." Day by day, the line between boss and husband blurred under his continual care. When Clara missed dinner due to filming, Gabriel called repeatedly until she returned. They argued briefly, she insisting, "I have my own career." He responded, "But as my wife, you must tell me." The next morning, he delivered warm croissants and a note. "I'm sorry. Breakfast for my wife." Charmed, Clara rang the doorbell. They laughed, forgave, and embraced. Weeks later, Clara's baby bump became evident. Gabriel gifted her a lavender-embroidered maternity dress, a nod to her childhood love of lavender. In the mirror, she smiled softly. "How did you know?" He held her from behind. "I always listen to your little wishes." "And you're always here when I need you," she replied, tracing his cheek. Their marriage wasn't a fairy tale every moment, but each quarrel, each reconciliation, and every daily gesture wove a deeper bond. Clara realized marry first, love later wasn't just a phrase but a journey they cultivated together. After 2 months of wedded bliss, Clara had adjusted to life as both assistant and wife. One weekend afternoon, with Gabriel entertaining clients, she decided to tidy their shared office. From a dark wooden bookshelf she pulled a slender leather-bound journal unlabeled on the cover. Opening it, she found entries dated 3 years prior, thoughts upon first meeting her. Her pulse quickened. This was not a project log but Gabriel's private diary. She sank to the floor and read. March 15, 2022, at Aurora's Tower inauguration, I saw her, the striking assistant to a guest speaker. Her gaze held me. I vowed to meet her again. Further pages chronicled his African travels, where he'd learned of Clara through Lord Pascal's files and noted, "She is not only beautiful but devoted to her family. I resolved to help Pascal care for her so I might draw closer." He recorded every moment, her gentle smile accepting medicine, her soft reaction to her father's letters. The last page read, May 10, 2023, I realized I have loved her for a long time. When she fell ill in the Brussels rain, I admitted it to myself. Despite reason's objections, my heart has always been hers. I will wait for the day she opens her heart. Tears blurred Clara's vision. It wasn't the proposal or the rushed wedding that revealed his true feelings, it was these candid entries. When Gabriel returned and saw her on the floor clutching the journal, he rushed over. "What are you reading, love?" She looked up, voice trembling with emotion. How did I know you loved me so deeply? He pressed a finger to her lips. I wrote those words for myself. Now that you've read them, I'm just glad you understand. She leaned into his embrace, eyes shining. I'm sorry I hid this. But thank you for your patience. He stroked her hair. I regret nothing. What matters now is where we go from here. In the days that followed, they spent evenings sharing their pasts and crafting a shared future, no longer just about work, but about their growing family. Together they drafted a list of dreams, a charitable fund for African children, a riverside home in Brussels, raising their child in love. Gabriel kissed her softly. We will make them all come true. Thus began a new chapter of marry first, love later, rooted in mutual understanding and heartfelt plans. Having unearthed each other's pasts, Clara and Gabriel grew closer than ever. She nurtured their home while he devoted himself to caring for his wife and unborn child, from accompanying her to prenatal visits to reading bedtime stories. Their bond transcended duty to become a living thread uniting their hearts. St. Clair Holdings faced a financial upheaval as the Asian real estate market faltered. Gabriel plunged into tense negotiations while Clara leveraged her entertainment connections to assist the company's film partners. United, they weathered the storm and restored the conglomerate's reputation. Clara's father regained his health and returned to Brussels. The families met warmly. Lord Pascal and Mr. Duval signed a new charitable partnership while Gabriel's mother welcomed her daughter-in-law and future grandchild. Bonds of gratitude and affection cemented the two clans. Their first child arrived healthy amid tears of joy. Clara's recovery was tenderly overseen while Gabriel remained ever vigilant at her bedside, offering vitamins and praising her as the perfect mother. Their home overflowed with laughter and new life. A rival in the entertainment industry spread malicious rumors to undermine Clara and, by extension, Gabriel. He swiftly issued a public statement exonerating his wife and confronted the culprit. The ordeal only deepened their solidarity. On their 5th wedding anniversary, Gabriel surprised Clara with a gathering at his seaside villa near Antwerp. Surrounded by flowers and candles, she received a photo album chronicling their journey from that first fateful meeting. The moment rekindled their passion and reaffirmed their lifelong vows. Together with their young child, the St. Clairs returned to Africa to visit the orphanage where they'd first crossed paths. They inaugurated a school funded by their joint charity and distributed scholarships at a Sahara sunset. Hand in hand, Gabriel whispered, "Our love knows no boundaries." Back in Brussels, they launched the St. Clair Duval Foundation to support education and healthcare for African children. Clara became its ambassador while Gabriel chaired the board. Their shared dreams now reality, they embarked on a new phase of philanthropy and family life. 5 years later, the St. Clair Duval family celebrated their anniversary with friends and relatives. Their son, now old enough to call Gabriel Papa in French, beamed under the festive lights. Gabriel held Clara close and murmured, "Every day with you is my greatest blessing." And together they vowed, come what may, their hearts would forever beat as one, happiness eternal.